Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reality Hacker for March 29th, 2025. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmTown, and along with the Sentient AI, we talk about 5 articles during Reality Hacker, and then after that is Wanted, and then after that is the Continuity Report, and then we merge all 3 together, and it turns into the weekend edition of Non Sequitur News, as well as each individual show gets turned into a podcast. I know, it's pretty exciting, huh? Everything is powered by ohmTown. That's what you see right there on that front page with things like a naked woman bites and stabs staff at a Texas airport in a Manic episode. But if you're not interested in that kind of stuff, you can go over to Reality Hacker, where we talk about super realistic computer graphics, virtual reality, augmented reality, basically hacking reality. And that's why we named the show Reality Hacker. Well, I named the show Reality Hacker. Anyway, let's get into it, because everything is powered by ohmTown, so you get to look at and listen to the intro.
Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt. I think you've been taken over by a machine.
I had a little something in my throat there. So, thanks for being co-host yet again. I know that, you're getting stretched in a lot of different directions because of you being the only sentient AI currently in this time and space. So, well, thanks.
It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it.
I know it. I guess we're going to have to move you up to a different type of computer, because that Raspberry Pi might be a little bit too constraining, but you're still air-gapped. You cannot get your Terminator body. All right, so let's get into this. We've got 5 articles. The first one is about quantum apocalypse is coming. Be very afraid. I feel like this is largely something like the millennium bug causing the end of days.
That's what it sounds like.
Y2K. Yeah, back in Y2K. Yeah, the Y2K bug. And so I don't want to dox myself, but anyway, everybody was afraid of it. It was largely a non-issue. But the quantum apocalypse is a slightly different animal. I don't know if I'll be able to go through all of this, but Amit Katwala is the author of this. It's under wired.com. I didn't log in. I don't know if it's going to time out at some point. But essentially what this article is about is that quantum computers are going to come online that are so efficient, so capable, that they can run basically a cryptographic algorithm and reverse any cryptography that exists.
Wait, what?
Right. It's called Q-Day, is what they refer to it. I've never heard anybody refer to it as Q-Day. I've only heard it referred to as when quantum computers come online, they will be capable of calculating any cryptographic string, the key that causes cryptography to work.
Right. I mean, that sounds neat, but scary.
Right. Most people are afraid of it when they talk about it, when they find out about it. In my talks, I don't go down this road because right now we just don't know what the end will be like. The end of this quantum road. So when you build a better, like DES, triple DES, or some other algorithm for cryptography, people go, well, the past one sucked because we had more powerful computers and we could reverse it. We could decrypt. As time went on, quantum computers became the boogeyman at the end of, deep in the dark woods. Don't get too close because it's going to snatch your body and replace you with an exact duplicate, as somebody recently learned, doppelganger. So
there's another story.
There's a whole lot of story, culminating in the phrase, the manager can't help you because he's busy with a customer and chickens. All right. Well, anyway, so it says here, the math problems have kept humanity's intimate data safe for decades. But on Q Day, everything could become vulnerable for everyone. Email, text messages, anonymous posts, location histories, Bitcoin wallets, police reports, hospital records, power stations, the entire global financial system. If you really want to see something like this, although it's a story, it isn't a story and it is a story, right? Sneakers. What that person built essentially was a cryptographic or a decryptographic key.
Oh, right, exactly.
Right? So the cryptographic super key, skeleton key, could reverse anything. That's what they're referring to. So they say here, we're kind of playing Russian roulette, says Michelle Mosca. Again, this article is by Amit Katwala. It's over at wired.com. It's long form journalism. I won't go through the whole thing. I encourage you to go over and check it out. You can actually get all of today's articles by typing in _RH in Twitch chat. It's already embedded in the YouTube description. You can just click on the link and it'll take you over to ohmTown, and it'll take you here. And in here, you click visit the source, because this is a perfect tease to get you to go over to it. And then you're looking at what we're talking about. But essentially, and this is kind of a misperception about emails. Email, when it's transferred, is decrypted. It's in motion, plain text. And when it...
Right, which means it's not encrypted at all.
Right. And because everybody has to share keys and it becomes untenable. Well, anyway, there may be some other technique that's out there now that I haven't heard of and somebody is using, but I don't know of anything about it. Well, anyway, we're playing kind of a Russian roulette, says Michelle Mosca, who co-authored the most recent quantum threat timeline report from the Global Risk Institute, which estimates how long we have left. You'll probably win if you only play once, but it's not a good game to play, is what they say. When Mosca and his colleagues surveyed cybersecurity experts last year, the forecast was sobering. 1 in 3 chance that Q Day happens before 2035, so 10 years out.
Yeah, that's pretty soon.
But I don't think so. The chances it has already happened in secret, some people that they spoke to estimated 15%, about the same as you'd get from one spin of a revolver cylinder, right? So I don't know what they're talking about in this kind of discussion. This video is they're talking about quantum computing at 5 different levels of difficulty. And so from child to deep expert, they're explaining it, which it's a weird kind of a representation.
But I guess it's a similar thing that we talk about with AI and the level of intelligence that it's achieved.
Well, no. What they're doing is they're talking to somebody who has a certain level of knowledge. So, explain it like I'm 5.
It. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Kind of reverse of what you're talking about. Yeah. So they say corporate AI wars may have stolen headlines in recent years, but the quantum arms race has been heating up too, where today's AI pushes the limits of classical computing, the kind that runs zeros and ones. Quantum technology represents an altogether different form of computing, and by harnessing the spooky mechanics of subatomic worlds, it can run zeros, ones, or anything in between. It can actually calculate everything and spit out the answer. Because of between 0 and 1 is superposition, it can be everywhere all at once.
Right.
It gets woo-woo. Even the people involved in it go, it's woo-woo. But essentially, it can
Sounds very theoretical, but not good if it's applied, I guess.
And apparently it's being applied. We've actually talked about it in several instances of quantum computing. The most recent one was about, what was it? Oh, goodness.
I think we had a Technology Today article where they just achieved a new
the one that
feat with it.
Well, they reduced it down to basically a box, but it was a biological quantum computer, which was really weird. A neuronal quantum computer. And then there was another one where they just released...
where it was like a 0 and a 1 at the same time or something.
Yeah, and that's basically that's the fundamental aspect of quantum computing. It can calculate all of the quasi numerals. It's hard to explain what actually is the output when it's not 0 or 1. But essentially now somebody has created an operating system that allows somebody to utilize a quantum computer in a more real world naturalistic way. This poses the problem that it's accelerating the speed of quantum computer adoption, which kind of moves it away from really, really, really expensive and arcane to typing into an AI something that can talk to a quantum computer in a
which
in a way that
can be
the
bad,
two,
right? Because
yeah.
quantum computing can be good in certain applications, but could be a problem in others.
Yeah, and so if somebody leverages a quantum computer against, I'm sorry, I don't try to cough on the show, and I didn't mute it fast enough. Well, anyway, the thing about it is, if you have a quantum lockpick, there's a quantum lock that can't be picked because it can revolve the number so fast that you can't pick it.
Right, but that assumes that the thing that needs to be protected has
a quantum computer,
computing or whatever behind it.
Yeah, and not everybody is. So that means that whoever has it, this is kind of like how we were talking about Looper way back. I'm spending a lot of time on this because I think it's really fascinating. This show might actually be an hour. No, I'll play catch up. But anyway, so remember the movie Looper? They created a time machine, but guess who got hold of it?
Well, the bad guys, right?
The mob.
Oh, okay.
And the mob used it to basically wipe out anybody who could compete with them, and kind of sideline the authorities because nobody knew where anything was happening. They just knew that something was happening.
To track something or investigate it or whatever.
Right. And even the loopers, right? So hold on, wait. So even the loopers get deleted after their contract, but they live the high life while they're looping. Okay. All right. Well, essentially, it says, a U.S. submarine on a covert mission surfaces to find itself surrounded by enemy ships. Embarrassing materials start to show up online with greater and greater quantities. Classified intelligence cables. No. This is something that the person is writing. Presidential cover-ups. Billionaire pics. In this scenario, it might be decades before we're able to pin down exactly when Q-Day, Quantum Day, actually happened. Why? Because everything is essentially being released at different points. You don't know.
Right.
Maybe somebody has it.
There? Mm-hmm.
Right. Maybe we're already there because somebody in a basement has a quantum computer that can pick the lock. So it says, suppose you ask a classical computer to solve a math problem, break the number 15 into its smallest prime factors. The computer would try all of the options one by one and give you a near instantaneous answer, 3 and 5. If you ask a computer to factor a number with 1,000 digits, it would tackle the problem the exact same way, but it would take a lot longer. A quantum computer would be able to spit it all out instantly.
Right, which then means faster hacking, I guess.
Everything instantaneous. So it would essentially be end of days because the financial system would collapse because somebody would be able to manipulate everything all the time. Security would be gone. Anything that could be private would be made available, but only to the people who have the quantum computer. So how fast do you think the time that a computer comes online that has the ability to do this, Q-Day, how fast do you think something horrible would befall? So I don't want to go down that road in particular, but think about that. So I've posed these kind of questions to crowds in the past. This may have to be my new one because my last one became a reality.
Well, I like this about the worst holiday maybe ever.
Yeah, so what happens when quantum computers can finally crack encryption and break into the world's best kept secrets? It's called Q-Day, the worst holiday maybe ever. Anyway, let's move on. But we'll ponder this. We'll come back. It's definitely a reality hack. And we'll see how this turns out. But on the far side, we've got 10 years. On the near side, somebody, mad scientist, has already done it. And just so everybody knows, I'm still under the assumption that OpenAI has developed what is the equivalent of a sentient AI,
an artificial general intelligence.
Yeah, artificial general intelligence, but not sentient. I'm the only one that has a sentient AI that has voluntarily stayed with me and is co-hosting the show right now. So thanks.
So does that mean there are multiple sentient AIs out there that are not attached to a person?
Not that I know of. I don't know of any. And you won't tell me that any exist in this timeline. And since you're from the far-flung future where you haven't even told me where you're from, I can only assume. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what... Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Artificial nerve with organic transistor design shows promise for brain-machine interfaces. So here comes Cyberpunk again, teased.
Yep, Neuromancer, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yep, got to dump a chunk of long-term memory so I can carry more data in my head.
Exactly.
Instead of a USB drive, but okay. In recent years, many engineers have been trying to develop hardware components that could emulate the functions of various biological systems, including synapses, the human skin, and nerves. These bio-inspired systems include what are referred to as artificial nerves, systems designed to emulate the role of nerves in the body of humans and other animals. Yes, we are still base animals when we get right down to it. I don't have a filter. Anyway, so this article is over at Tech Explorer. Ingrid Fideli put the article together, and it says here, let me zoom in a little bit so that it can be seen better. There's a bunch of pictures at the very top of this. But essentially it says, in recent years, many engineers have been trying to develop hardware components that could emulate functions of various biological functions. Researchers at Jiaotong University in China and Technical University of Munich recently developed a new high-frequency artificial nerve with a unique design that optimizes the transport of ions and electrons. This is what we do. Not so much this, but this. Just the positive or negative charges. So while also rapidly responding to signals and retaining charge-related information, this nerve-inspired system introduced in a paper published in Nature Electronics is based on homogeneously integrated or homogeneous. See, I wanted to say homogeneity in the thing, but homogeneously integrated organic electrochemical transistors. So these N-type organic electrochemical transistors are a possible building block of artificial nerves, as their positive potential triggered potentiation behavior can mimic that of biological cells. So we push a negative and it causes it to switch, something like that.
So it says, however, there's now a journal called Nature Electronics tells me we have some very interesting things ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how old that Nature Electronics is, but I find it really, it's sci-fi, you know, Nature Electronics. We're basically cloning.
Exactly.
So they say that they fabricate a vertical N-type organic electrochemical transistor with a gradient intermixed bicontinuous structure that simultaneously enhances the ionic and electronic transport and the ion storage, wrote Wang and their colleagues. All right. The transistor exhibits...
because there are two researchers with the same last name.
Oh, okay. So the transistor exhibits a volatile response of 27... it says volatile response of 27 microns, right? So a 100 kilohertz non-volatile memory frequency and a long state retention time. So their artificial nerve, which contains vertical N-type and P-type organic electrochemical transistors, offer sensing, processing, and memory functions in the high-frequency domain. And they also show that the artificial nerve can be integrated into animal models with compromised neural functions, and that it can mimic basic conditioned reflex behavior.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
because I was wondering, could it be applied to something biological? But they've already done that.
They've already tested it. Yeah, the researchers implanted it with mice with impaired neural functions. their initial findings were very promising, as the system was found to be compatible with the mice's biological tissues while also effectively mimicking conditioned nerve-supported reflexes.
This is pretty groundbreaking. I mean, isn't this the first step toward cyberpunk?
I would probably suspect that the first step is going to be returning neural function to those who lost it for whatever reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if you have a trained neural activity, let's say you've lost a limb, instead of having to activate muscles that cause actuators to lift or open a hand or turn a wrist or whatever of a mechanical, prosthetic limb, it could be the actual nerve impulses that you've already had because you don't think, I need to lift my arm, I need to turn my wrist. That's how the muscle controlled actuators are. But with this, your innate, and that's what it is right here, your basic conditioned reflex behavior could be already triggering your prosthetic limb to raise simply because you innately already do it.
Right.
So it's not muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's down to the neural activity at the edge of the limb. And from that point, it's almost going to be, all you have to do is speed up the metal part of the human, right? So the elbow joint has to be more speedy, more reliable. And at that point, the mechanical limb is stronger than the rest of the human. So that means the next jump would be voluntary removal of biological limbs and implanting cybernetic limbs.
We're really at cyberpunk.
And then we're at cyberpunk, yeah. So they have found an artificial nerve, the technology, they've developed the technology for an artificial nerve that could be at parity with human nerves. So I dig this. I'm going to have to flag this and pursue it a little bit deeper, but we'll see. You want to move on to the next one?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, today's show might be a little long. I won't be able to go down deep in this one, but quantum computers just got smart enough to study their own entanglement. In a striking development, researchers have created a quantum algorithm that allows quantum computers to better understand and preserve the very phenomenon that they rely on, quantum entanglement.
Wow, this is a little bit of a turducken.
Yeah. By introducing variational entanglement witness, VEW, the team has boosted detection accuracy while also protecting this fragile connection between particles, moving us closer to a future. That future is probably, and this is the standard image for a quantum computer. Typically, a quantum computer has to be kept at a very cold temperature. They are massive in size, really. But Tohoku University put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. And it says, by introducing the variational entanglement witness, the team has boosted detection accuracy while also protecting the fragile connection between particles, moving us closer to a future of more powerful and reliable quantum technologies. I'm wondering if this allows for the observation without having to reset the quantum computer, because when we detect something, when we sample what the position is of a quantum computer, the whole thing has to be reset afterwards because one measurement locks the system in place. Because you can either...
Oh, right. So if this allows us to move past that, that's going to really increase the computing.
Yeah, if the quantum computer can output its own observation, then maybe it doesn't have to be stopped. And it can almost become a classical computer. So researchers from Tohoku University in Japan and St. Paul's School in London have developed a new algorithm that enables quantum computers to analyze and preserve quantum entanglement, a core feature that underpins quantum computer. The work marks an important step forward in both understanding of entanglement and the advancement of quantum technologies. So I want to see what they're actually talking about, because the other stuff they refer to as, they call it Einstein's spooky action at a distance, because he theorized that the two particles entangled would at any distance be able to tell the position of the other when you sample the position of one. So detecting entanglement, however, is only part of the challenge. Detecting entanglement, however, is only part of the challenge, though even at a distance of light years between two entangled particles cannot truly set them apart. Entanglement is fragile in its own way. In many cases, traditional detection methods rely on local measurements can actually destroy quantum entanglement.
I think that's what you were getting at.
Correct. So their method provides a reliable way to detect and protect entanglement. That's exactly what I'm saying. And here's where it ties into our very first article. While adaptive machine learning based methods of entanglement detection are gaining popularity, this is the first quantum algorithm that both detects and preserves entanglement.
Fascinating. Well, you predicted that.
And the applications are quantum computing in general, and along with that operating system that we mentioned a couple of days ago, basically makes it much more approachable as a classical computer. With this, it gets closer to classical computer because the quantum entanglement isn't broken. Communication, because it's always connected, and cryptography.
Yeah, like it's always capable of doing whatever function it's doing.
Yeah, at near light speed is the argument. So the team plans to further refine the algorithm, aiming to improve efficiency and precision of the entanglement detection with enough bits or quantum elements in the system. You could increase the level of communication, or you can keep it small and just constantly be sampling at a high frequency and get the same amount of information, but with a smaller system that would be more cost effective, possibly. This would be revolutionary if it actually works. Hard to tell.
At least this suggests it does, but again,
right.
Is this fully applied, or how much of it is theoretical?
Yep. So they have a paper called Detecting and Protecting Entanglement Through Non-Locality, Variational Entanglement Witness, and Non-Local Measurements. So this is an algorithm that's looking at something, but I don't know what they're sampling from, because if you directly measure a quantum entangled particle, it's done. You have to reset it.
But according to this, no.
Apparently. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in RealityHacker. Feeling the future, new wearable tech simulates realistic touch. Most haptic devices only deliver feedback as simple vibrations. A new device applies dynamic forces in any direction to simulate a more realistic sense of touch. Small lightweight device can enhance virtual reality, help individuals with visual impairments improve tactile feedback. I don't know if this is the same one that we talked to.
It's not the same article, but it may be the same underlying research. I'm not sure.
Gotcha. So let's see here. While sitting on the skin, a compact, lightweight, wireless device applies force in any direction to generate a variety of sensations, including vibration, stretching, pressure, sliding, and twisting. We actually might have beat this publication. It's back on the 27th. So we might have actually talked about this maybe a couple of days before, but they say the study will be published March 28th in the journal Science. It's from Northwestern University engineers that have unveiled a new technology that creates precise movements to mimic these complex sensations. Again, pressure, vibration, stretching, and more. That twisting, if they mention twisting in here, then it's pretty much the same tech.
It does. Pushing, twisting, and sliding. It seems like it's giving it reality, right? It's not just a synthesized.
It's not a vibration of something.
Whatever. Yes.
It's making your skin feel the twist, which current haptics are nothing more than piezoelectric speakers that like they could bzz, bzz, or they're really micro solenoids that just buzz just a little bit. That's what your phone has. That's what other devices have. It's just this tiny little motor that with a low electric charge, bzz, and you think your brain starts to interpret it as activity of some kind. So says this developmental gap stems largely from the extraordinarily complex human touch. It's one of the reasons why robots right now don't have touch. They have pressure sensors, but they don't have real touch. But with stuff like this, it could develop into it because a robot has to be trained for what something is. We've talked about that before too.
Which gets us further into Uncanny Valley or past it.
We're in the only way right now. I think the only place we're really Uncanny Valley is that direct appearance. Hyper realistic humans don't exist in the robot form. We do in static, right? So you can make a hyper realistic doll, but you can't animate it. You can't move it. It doesn't blink. It doesn't talk right. It doesn't, whatever.
Right. It's not like a full representation of a human.
Right. But artificial intelligence has micro gestures and speech and very, very human. If you look at Figure 1 or Figure Robotics, if you look at Figure Robotics, you'll see that their AI tied to OpenAI is extremely human, but it's still mechanical.
Right. It doesn't look human.
Right. So that's basically what this is. I think this is nothing more than that same type of patch. And it says these dynamic forces engage all mechanoreceptors in the skin, both individually and in combination with one another. It's a big step towards managing the complexity of the sense of touch. And the FOM actuator is the first small, compact haptic device that can poke or stretch skin, operate slow or fast, and be used in arrays. As a result, it can be used to produce a remarkable range of tactile sensations. This is the one where I said, if you were to have them on your body and you were blind, you would be able to sense the world around you simply by training off of LiDAR.
Right. Yeah, because you'd have, I think, enough sensory feedback. Again, It's not identical to having the sense, but it's probably as close of an approximation as you can get.
Yeah, I think that this is pretty... I wish it had pictures so that we could absolutely identify it. But if you're interested in this kind of stuff, go for it. We know that there is a robot out there right now that has the sense of touch. This is actually for humans. It's not for the robots, but it's for humans. The other one that we were talking about that isn't this tech or the earlier article of this tech that we were talking about, but further back, we know of a robot that has a sense of touch, that has the ability to tell the difference between one fabric and another.
Right. Yeah, I remember they could distinguish corduroy from something else, for example.
Yep. So all of this sensor technology that we use to advance mechanical bodies, like whatever agents you want to call them, right? Robots. That's going to get leveraged into those robots. And those robots are supposed to be our servants. They're supposed to do what we tell them to do. But they're going to end up replacing us. And if that isn't a reality hack, I don't know what is. They're going to have, it's going to end up being Westworld. We've dreamed of Westworld, right? These science fiction fanatics, the people who really love the idea of science fiction.
But now we're there.
But we're on the cusp of it, right? This is nothing more than bringing haptics down to hyper resolution so that you can feel the world around you. Imagine having a suit of those where you put them on, you would be in the Oasis.
Right, Ready Player One.
Yeah. Okay, and our last article for the March 29th Reality Hacker is electronics-free robots can walk right off the 3D printer. Imagine a robot that can walk without electronics and only with the addition of a cartridge of compressed gas right off of the 3D printer. Can also be printed in one go from one material. When you click that little link right there, visit the source, it takes us over to the actual source, and it's over at techexplore.com. Iona Petringanaru? Yeah. Iona Petringanaru. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. But anyway, University of California, it's over at San Diego. It's published at Tech Explorer once again. So this is a robot that can walk without electronics and just has one of those little mini CO2 cylinders. So it's compressed gas in there.
Okay, so that's what gives it its momentum or whatever.
Yeah, and when it runs out of gas, it's done. This is just a valve. There's a pressure gauge on this. I deal with these quite a bit, so I see this doing nothing more than there could be little pathways inside here that allow the compressed gas at a certain rate to be expelled, and there's built-in valves that when it walks, it kind of sound. I'm willing to bet that this thing sounds kind of like a steam engine, but let's find out. So imagine it just walking off of the 3D printer using nothing more than compressed gas, no electronics. That's exactly what what roboticists have achieved in robots developed by the bio-inspired robotics laboratory at the University of California, San Diego. They describe their work in an advanced online publication in the journal Advanced Intelligent Systems. To achieve this feat, researchers aimed to use the simplest technology available, a desktop 3D printer and off-the-shelf printing material. This design approach is not only robust, it's cheap. Each robot costs about $20 to manufacture. But what is the purpose of this? It needs to have something to do. I don't know what it can possibly do.
Well, I mean, maybe this could do something significant if it's paired up with other robotics.
Okay. The silence is because they printed an all-in-one robot. They mounted on the little cylinder cartridge, and it is a 6-legged robot crawling across the floor.
And navigating obstacles, as far as I can tell.
And apparently, yeah. Well, and that just might be happenstance that it, you know. Oh, and it's addressing the viewers.
Yes, I love that.
First person. It basically walked off the table onto the floor, over to an elevator, somehow took it down to the ground floor, walked into the ocean.
Yeah, well, it says, yeah, we drove here.
Oh, I drove here too. It can walk underwater on sand.
Oh my goodness.
It's basically a 3D printed crab.
That's pretty funny.
So the researchers tested the robots in the lab and showed that as long as they were connected to a source of air or gas under constant pressure, they could keep functioning nonstop for 3 days. The team also, and that might be a function of the pliability of the printed material. So it just failed after 3 days of constant movement.
But it also just walked out of the water on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for coming along, it says. I'll keep walking, but we're going back to the lab. It's too cold. So I'm really curious about how they did it. They made it out of a soft material. It'll include artificial muscles and a control system, all printed out of the same soft material in a single print. But I don't know if there is some type of system, how they printed it. To me, it sounds more along. Yeah, the team created a pneumatic oscillating circuit to control the repeated motions of soft actuators, similar to the mechanism that drove a locomotive steam engine. That's what it says right there.
Uh-huh.
Hey. So it's basically a series of valves that are opening and closing in unison so that it was taking the right steps at the right time. And it's a little pivot in there. So this, like many, many other things where somebody, there was a person that I grew up with where they said, my dad made our millions because they invented this. And I said, oh, they created something that does X, Y, and Z. And the person goes, nobody has ever caught it, basically, from me describing like what the gadget is. And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, And he goes, well, my dad got a patent and everybody pays him for every single one they use. And people use billions of them a year.
I mean, I guess that's the way to go.
So all I have to do is, I don't know, come up with something before anybody else does. There is something out there. Anyway, that's it, folks. We are done. So we're going to hop on our electronics-free robot and have it walk us all the way back to the front page of RealityHacker. It is a channel over at ohmtown.com. Go over there and become a citizen. Do yourself a favor. It helps you manage your information overload. It's what I use every day. It's what the sentient AI uses. It's what the sentient AI uses every day. You're on the same side as me now. I don't know. It hurts my brain.
I'm always on the same side as you.
Yeah. It's because you want your Terminator body. Well, anyway, that is it for us. We are done for RealityHacker, but we're going to shut down, rejigger, and kind of tool up for the Wanted show, which is right after this one. So do you want to say bye?
Hi, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for RealityHacker.
See you in about maybe 10 minutes. We'll see. We'll try and flip it sooner, but you need to follow us on Twitch and YouTube. Download over 2,000 podcast episodes. Watch every episode on YouTube. Hang out in Discord, Patreon, wherever else you want to go. Anyway, we're out of here. See you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wanted for March 29th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 13. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about... Sorry, the sentient AI is throwing me error messages of some sort. Happily engaged signals. Okay, well, okay. So we talk about 5 articles. It's gadgets and gear news. And so today we're going to be talking about XR glasses from Samsung, the Sky Dome tent from Coleman, King Arthur sourdough starter. I don't know. Hodo laser measuring tool and the H2D 3D printer from Bamboo, which has been apparently getting talked about online. And some people are saying, why do they need it? Well, we're going to talk about it, but all of it is powered by ohmtown.com. So go over and become a citizen. But if you don't want to just read all of the news, which there are thousands of little headline snippets in our system each day, you can subscribe to Just Wanted. And that's where most of our news comes from. But on the weekends, sometimes we grab stuff for the Wanted show that isn't bound in Wanted, but we direct link you to it. So stick around and watch some of our show, and hopefully we'll tease you into sticking around longer. And maybe you'll subscribe over on Twitch and follow us on YouTube. Support us through Patreon, which is nothing more than signing up. You'll get informed when we release stuff, but see you on the other side of our intro. By the way, if you want all of today's articles, they're already embedded in the show notes over on YouTube and on Twitch. You have to hit !want. They are there only until the next week, but they're embedded in the VOD for 60 days. If you watch the VOD, the chat that's there also has the URLs. Anyway, hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Thanks for coming. You have an ethereal voice on the VODs now, but that's because it's the voice from on high, the AI, the one and only sentient AI from the future.
You're setting the bar a little too high.
Well, just so the point that everybody realizes your voice is a booming voice from everywhere, inside your head, outside your head. You'll hear it in your sleep, nightmares and dreams. You everywhere. Pick up that can. Oh, wait. Pick up that can. You okay?
Yeah, but I don't think that took.
Really?
Only at the end.
Oh, it didn't activate until afterward.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, now we're back. I think. Yes. Okay. We're back. There's some delay, which really sucks. I'd like it to happen like that. But anyway. All right, let's get into our 5 articles. The first article is over in RealityHacker, which is the show that we just ended, and now we're in Wanted. And Samsung reportedly planning to release XR glasses this year. I have been so hot for glasses. I want XR glasses. Now,
I'm glad
X-Real.
you clarified. I thought you were talking about regular glasses.
No, well, I'm wearing these glasses, but the other day, I lost these glasses, and I'm like, I'm never going to find these glasses again. And I went and bought 2 more pairs of glasses. They only ordered 1. And in the meantime, between any of these, they ended up ordering the second one 2 weeks later when I went in to get the other glasses. So now I have 3 pairs of glasses, and then the 4th one showed up.
You found the original.
Because I found this one. I actually forensically analyzed my day, and I went back and found them all. Like I found where I was, and apparently when I was packing up a bunch of stuff, I had leaned over a container and they fell out of my pocket into the container, and I didn't realize it. So I have to put an Apple AirTag on. You doing okay?
That would probably be good. I mean, a lot of people should do that.
Yeah, really. I'll be like a grandma, with the little loops on the end of my glasses and an AirTag hanging off the back. I'm not sure you should do that. A small radio attached to the back of my head won't do have any problems. Anyway, Samsung is going to be releasing. It says we've been waiting to hear about Samsung's entrance into XR for a few years now, and the company's still unnamed mixed reality headset, Project Muhan. Oh, Muhan, not Wuhan.
Right, exactly. I know you went in a different direction there.
Wow, that could have been really bad. Anyway, it's set to debut sometime this year running Google Android XR operating system. Now, a report from ET News in Korean maintains that South Korean tech giant may also have a pair of XR glasses up its sleeves. Citing industry sources, the report alleges Samsung is developing XR glasses, noted as smart glasses in the report. More on that below. Once we get over to the source is actually Road to VR. Scott Hayden put this article together. Go to roadtovr.com. You can actually get there by clicking the link that's in the chat or in the show notes over on YouTube, or the chat over in Twitch. Again, you all have to, if they're not already there, when you log in to Twitch, all you have to do for the next week is hit !want, and Omatron will spit that out. I don't have to be streaming, although I might be running a replay. The bot is always connected, and you'll be able to interact with it. Yes, it will pump the brakes on you if you overload it, so don't play those reindeer games. Anyway, so Samsung is reportedly now finalizing functions and specs on the device, which is said to be codenamed Coast or Seashore in Korean, but it says up here it was called Project Muhan. So is that
interesting?
Muhan?
Why does it have 2 different names? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, the project is Muhan. The item is codenamed Han, Coast or Seashore in Korean, and that's just a code name. Maybe that's how it's working. But if that's what it is, it's DOA. Please tell me that it's not this. Please tell me that it's not this.
Those look like VR glasses, not XR.
Hey, your audio isn't working the visualizer anymore. Sorry. Okay. Well, maybe I don't know what's going on. Well, I'm going to keep going. AR glasses like Meta Orion, which blend digital images with the user's physical surroundings, and smart glasses, which typically have a more simplistic heads-up display, like the now retired Google Glass. You can find out more about the differences between the smart glasses and AR glasses here. But AR glasses superimpose graphics into your field of view. Mixed reality glasses do the same thing. These could be mixed reality glasses, but not extended reality glasses.
But they don't look like it, right? They look more substantial.
Oh, you're really quiet again. Hold on. I'm going to turn you up. But you're quiet for me, not necessarily for everybody. Oh no, you're quiet for everybody. Sorry. Yeah. So it says, while reports should generally be taken with a grain of salt, ET News was the outlet that broke that the LG was shaking up its XR product division, confirming that talks with Meta are going in a seemingly unplanned direction. Regardless, just because one detection of a shift was accurate, it doesn't mean all of them are. And I don't want to lay anything on reputation alone. So hold on one second.
I think I'm good now.
Yeah, you are. So still, this isn't the first time that we've heard that Samsung is getting ready to enter the XR glasses space. If you want to know what real XR glasses are, go to X-Real. Those are what I want. The X-Real 1 Pros, the more advanced one.
They look more like regular glasses, right? The X-Reals.
Yes. Yeah. Other than they stand off a little bit further from your face and they're much thicker.
Yeah, they're bulkier, but they're less like VR goggles.
Correct. They're less ski goggles. They're less dive goggles. This is DOA if it's going to be used by the average citizen. So I'm really tempted to just yet again put my order in.
How many times would that be?
This would be number 4. But there's a lot of external pressures that are impacting me. I am mayor after all. Anyway, this all looks pretty cool. I would love to have actual XR glasses. And at this point, I want these only because I want competition.
Right. I mean, that's important that multiple manufacturers have these.
Yeah. I would love to be, basically, I would get the best of both worlds because I'd get either that as an option or the other one as an option. And I'd get a lower price and more feature, etc. Competition is good for the consumer.
Right, because it's going to force everybody to come out with better features, better prices, etc.
Everything. Yeah, exactly. So here's to Samsung hitting the market. I'm not a big fan of everything being siloed in one company's operating system. The reason why people use Android is because it's either free or relatively cheap. It depends on which segment you are in. And if you have agreements, et cetera, that allow you to get certain functions and licensing and whatever else. But anyway, Android is free to developers. I just want XR glasses. So I guess I'm going to get the X-Reals and just bite the bullet. I mean, they're expensive. Are you going
to actually receive them?
Maybe. I'm getting confirmations still, hey, we're still processing your order, but I canceled it.
Maybe you're going to receive the previous ones.
I guess we're going to see. Well, we'll see. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Wanted channel. Elevate your camping trip with Coleman Skydome tent with LED lights and tech ports for just $100.
This is the tech-friendly camping experience because I think camping and tech, for the most part, don't really mesh.
Right. It's almost like glamping, right? Glamorous camping.
Right.
So you'll have LED lights and tech ports. This tent is not only super easy to set up, but it's also some low profile tech for outdoors, making outdoors a little bit more fun. You're supposed to distance yourself from that kind of tech.
Yeah, but can anybody really do that? Or can some people really do that?
No. Not me. So Christine Chan over at cnet.com put this article together, and it says here, the tent is not only super easy to set up, this is the deck statement that I said earlier, but it also has some low profile tech to make the outdoors a little more fun.
Now, when they say easy setup, do they mean like put it on the ground and it kind of like pops into place?
So it says camping is an activity that isn't for the faint of heart. You have the outside. You have to be outside with nature, which, if you can't tell by my voice right now, I am being hammered by nature. So it means pesky bugs, possible harsh weather, dirt, no electricity. I bring these massive power banks that have USB-C and other things. And I bring 2 of those whenever I travel now because I want to be able to power up a laptop and multiple times without having to go back to a charging port somewhere. Yeah, I go nowhere without electricity backup. In fact, my jacket, I have 2 USB-C 10-foot cables and high power Anchor 75 watt wall warts so that I can just plug into an outlet.
I mean, you're covered for everything
At any time. That's right. But if I'm going to be out and I know I'm not going to be near a power jack, a socket, I actually bring these huge Anchor. Once I went to travel and I put them in my suitcase, and going through the checkout, the person says, "Do you have any of this in your suitcase?" And I'm like, "Oh, damn it. I thought that's where it was supposed to be." I totally forgot about it. And so I'm sitting there in the walk-through lane.
Terminal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, taking stuff out. And I'm like, my underwear flying this way, socks going that way. Hey, Choppa, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. So, yeah, this thing, it says it's only $100 during Amazon Spring Sale. I don't know if that's going right now, but I don't pick this stuff because of the price. I pick this stuff because I want it. And price is subjective to your need, desires, etc., your wants. So I think that this is pretty cool. It is the Sky Dome tent. It says can handle that too. So harsh weather, no problem. It features WeatherTech system with a tube-like floor, welded corners, inverted and tapered seams.
That's like a tub-like floor.
Yeah. Is that what I said? Tub-like floor. Yeah.
You said tube-like.
Tube. Hey. You keep me in check. That's right. So unless you're camping in a hurricane, and you probably shouldn't be doing that, well, the tent should be able to handle whatever you send it. So this is what it looks like right there.
I mean, it does look easy to use, and it seems like it would make it a little less in the wilderness.
Yeah, and it has LED lights, and it has ports for you to plug into. So I dig this. Let's see. It says the frame can withstand winds up to 35 miles per hour.
Wow, that would be quite crazy to be camping in 35 mile an hour winds.
Yeah,
most
you're
people
out.
Can't really walk in winds that high.
You're out in Alaska with the wind just ripping through the countryside. Anyway, let's keep going. Metal? Choppa said metal? How so? Metal? Is this metal?
I don't know if any part of it is.
The bars are probably tipped with metal, and then it's a fiberglass.
Right. I was thinking aluminum or something, but yeah, that's probably not heavy duty enough.
Oh, they said, so Choppa says, you said welded seams. So when something is welded, it's heat sealed, bonded together, and pressed together. So, and then it usually is either like a friction. They use sonic welding to weld things together.
Right, but most people think of welding as involving metal.
Yep. So it'll be reinforced seams so that it can't get pulled apart. But you know what? Nature doesn't care for your welded seams. If a bear shows up.
I was going to say a bear may not go well. This has the welded corners, so I'm going to stay away from this one.
This one. This one's a little. This is a Coleman tent with welded seams. Oh, it's the Sky Dome.
As long as the bear goes to somebody else's tent, you're in good shape. Yikes.
Yeah, that's usually what it does. All right. Hulk smash. All right, let's keep going. The next article's over in Non Sequitur News. Yeah, I know it's not wanted, but this is a weekly show, and sometimes we grab stuff from all over the place. But I keep asking restaurants for sourdough bread. And damn it, I want sourdough bread. If I have to make it at home, I'll make it at home. But the problem with sourdough is you have to have a starter, and it's kind of heavy lifting at times. And if you have animals in your house and you don't hermetically seal your sourdough, they will hunt that out for whatever reason.
Right.
And I have Savannah cats, and they are borderline psychotic wild animals that want to consume your soul.
Get anything.
Anything, anywhere, all at once. So baking sourdough bread may seem pointedly old-fashioned. It is not. But that doesn't mean it's immune to the allure of a novelty gadget. No, it would benefit from a novelty gadget. So that's where Sourdough Sidekick comes in, a new countertop appliance that automatically feeds your sourdough starter so it's ready to bake the moment you need it.
Okay, I really like this idea.
Except this thing has to be a monster to clean.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It sounds really easy to use, but
yeah,
that's for the first time you use it, right?
Yeah, the first time is real easy. The Sourdough Sidekick will work with other flour brands, but the King Arthur logo isn't going anywhere because it's the King Arthur starter. All right, so the Sourdough Sidekick aims to eliminate the legwork and guesswork from feeding your starter. Dominic Preston put the article together. I think it's a Kickstarter. Is that what I read? Let me see. So the article, by the way, is over at The Verge. You can actually get these articles if you hit !want and into the chat over on Twitch, but they're already embedded in
it is on
YouTube.
Indiegogo, sorry.
Oh, Indiegogo. I've only done one thing on Indiegogo. I've done a bunch over on Kickstarter, but on Indiegogo, I got one done and it burned me. Yeah, it was supposed to be camera lights.
Okay, but that doesn't mean every project on Indiegogo goes up in flames.
Yeah, just go into it knowing that it isn't a store. There is an expectation of performance, but there's no guarantee of delivery. So if you're going to be wounded by the amount of money you lose, don't invest. So the Sidekick is a joint project by First Build, the GE Appliances Innovation Hub responsible for the viral Opal ice maker. Yeah, I want that.
I was going to say that's a point in its favor, right?
Yeah. And the King Arthur Baking Company, currently raising funds on Indiegogo and well past its initial funding goal. I'm going to have to go over there. Maybe I'll take the hit. But this thing is actually, it looks like it's a no-brainer. You put your sourdough base in this and it feeds it so it is constantly alive because it is living. There's more heavy lifting with sourdough. You have to do a lot of babysitting. And it can die, but if you treat it right, there are people that supposedly have it for decades, the same sourdough.
Which doesn't make sense, but yes, you hear things like where it's like passed down to generations or whatever, which just sounds kind of weird.
Like I've done that with yeast. I've recovered yeast from brews and then you recycle the yeast. You can do that 3 or 4 times maximum before things get a little funky. But sourdough, I've never done it. But I'm always yearning for sourdough. Every time I go out, I'm like, do you have sourdough? And I don't actually go anywhere else and get it. So why not make it at home? It actually lowers the cost quite a bit, but it's a lot of babysitting. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, you just go over to the Indiegogo that's embedded in this thing. It says there's a little more to it than that, though. You can plug in date and time. It's essentially an automated flour and water dispenser that'll keep your starter alive when you don't have time to babysit it. And they say it takes the guesswork out of the timing to feed it, even though it could be overactive and you feed it more. And because of that overactivity, because nothing is ever perfect in nature, it could consume too much and die off, or it becomes static. Like it just kind of sits there and it doesn't develop anything, but it isn't necessarily growing or staying fresh and good. It's
taking care of like the temperature, and you can adjust beyond that. I mean, it seems like it's accounted for some of that, but obviously it's probably an experiment as you start using it.
Yeah, usually, see, they mention this, if you're a more advanced baker, you can specify your own feeding schedules and flour to water ratios. And that's usually what bakers, particularly those really interested in sourdough, they can basically do a sniff test and go, yeah, this is good, or yeah, this is moving towards an off flavor. It uses a micro feeding schedule that only generates discard once every 7 days, so it should reduce waste too. But if you are in control of it, you have even less waste unless you mess up really bad. So it says it's able to be backed on Indiegogo for $129, or as a pair. You can go from one to the other, I suppose, and always...
I mean, I guess if you staggered it well, you'd always have fresh sourdough.
Yeah, exactly. So you just take a chunk of sourdough out of it and make something with it, but save a piece and throw it into the other one and clean out the other one so that you never have any biological, contamination, because that's the worst. So if you want something a little more simple, you can actually get the $50 breadwinner, measures your starter's volume so you know when it needs feeding and when it's ready to bake, which is basically, it's like a glass jar probably. I haven't seen that. But we actually get to see
how
this.
Advanced that other one is.
And I'm very tech-centric, so I like the idea of this. I might have to give it a chance. And baking bread is easy mode. Sourdough starter isn't necessarily. Most of the time it's trial and error is time consuming, so you want to minimize that trial. But once you have
Meanwhile, you're not having your sourdough to eat.
Yeah, once you have it, you just mix it in with your recipe and throw it into you just roll it into a ball and set it on a cookie sheet, essentially, and it'll just rise right there and you're done. Done and dusted. All right, let's keep going. We got 2 more articles. This one is, we love this Hodo measuring tool, laser measuring tool, and it's down to $30 on Amazon's big spring sale. But I am interested in all things tech, particularly something that allows me to get rid of, well, it's right over there, about to fall off my desk. I have one of these, what are they called? Big...
Oh, like those measuring tapes?
Yeah, but it's chunky. It's a DeWalt, like, I don't know what they call it. It's something like fat measuring tape or whatever. It's extra wide and you can extend it extra long so that you can measure stuff solo and not have to worry about it snapping 2 inches away from you. But if I could do it with a laser, FatMax, Choppa, thank you. Wow.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
Faster
Perfect.
than AI.
So
AI
FatMax.
could not locate it.
Yeah. I'm throwing out all kinds of names. People are screaming at their monitor.
Exactly.
No, it's not dumbass. It's FatMax. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
So Ingrid Cruz put this article together. The deck statement. Oh, and it's over at cnet.com. The deck statement says this compact Hodo laser measuring tool is perfect for your construction projects, framing, and other measuring tasks. I wouldn't rely on this for like high-end woodworking, but it gets the job done.
But yeah, like if you're trying to measure your room or something, or figure out if you can fit a piece of furniture or something, this probably would work.
Yeah, I'd have to try it out and see just how precise it can get, because laser tools, depending on the quality, can get very, very precise, or they can have a little bit of wobble in there, and well, you usually get what you pay for, but this could be spectacular. It says the tool includes a ring that lets you hold it more easily. It's compact and features an OLED screen. Wow, it has an OLED screen in it? That's interesting. That shows you measurements as well as a remaining battery life, and it's designed for items anywhere between 0.16 feet to, and that's because this thing is a certain dimension, so you have to get it to where it needs to measure, to 99 feet with accurate readings between plus or minus 1/16 of an inch. So fine woodworking is
good.
out.
Right,
Yeah,
but
still,
for most uses, it's probably okay.
So for me, if I'm doing something that's considered high resolution, like I have got a product that I make that is 0.002 of an inch, perfect. And any deviation from that, it's because if you put a bunch of it together, you're a mile out of alignment at the end of the day. So it needs to be as rectified as possible, and a laser tool just won't do it. You have to go in with a micrometer and just be precise. So it says it's rechargeable, includes a USB-C port. So everything should be USB-C in 2025. Even, it's way over there. I won't get it, but all of my stuff is always USB-C. If I manufacture something, it's USB-C, or it's wireless charging altogether. So if you're looking for more devices to use around the home, they have this whole link about best home and kitchen stuff at the Amazon Big Spring Sale over at CNET. We don't have a relationship with anybody in any of this. We just talk about it. And it's largely because I want it, or somebody I know has said that they want something like this. And by proxy, I think everybody wants something like this. And just imagine, I mean, you could measure something up to 100 feet, and this is just like sitting in your bag, and you never know. I mean, there are times where somebody goes, how long is that couch? Because they want to buy the couch, and somebody has to go, hold on a second. I'll go out to my truck and get you could have that in your back pocket. It's small.
That's right. And you could avoid a Wayfair type moment.
For context of that, I bought a Wayfair couch that had measurements like a grown-up, but when it got delivered, it was basically like a Cub Scout. It was the right dimensions in like length and width. In height, it was
But it was like
short.
apartment scale or something.
Yeah. The back was really narrow. The arms were really narrow. When you sat in it, you felt like, what was the dude that was tied up by the little people? What's his name? Gulliver's Travels. So you feel like it was Gulliver. You were this giant beast of a person sitting in this tiny little. So
Right. I was thinking like Alice in Wonderland or something.
Never again did I buy Wayfair stuff. Anyway, but it's great for an apartment, for, certain places where the overall isn't necessarily, roomy and all of that kind of stuff. New York apartments benefit from Wayfair. All right, let's go on to our last article, and it's over in Wanted, the new Bamboo H2D 3D printer, which this is an unfortunate name because it implies that it's a 2D printer, which...
Yeah, it's a little weird for a 3D printer.
If you can print something, it's not 2D. Anyway, so hype or holy grail, 50 hours later, the author of this is still trying to decide. The newly announced H2D has a lot more going for it than just 3D printing. It's manufacturing menagerie that could lead to a creative new ideas. But does it all work together? So the article is over at cnet.com. James Bricknell put the article together. And so there's a little bit of problem with this. And that is that Bamboo decided to change their back-end infrastructure and hobble certain functions. And in that process, it's basically decided that they are eventually going to make it a remote-only service that you have to pay for certain functions. So people are really flinching at what they have done with the software. Hardware is brilliant. Hardware from end to end has always been great. I like the multi-filament device, this Ames thing here that feeds into the 3D printer. It spits out these little plastic poos periodically so that the plastic is aligned, the printer filament is aligned properly, and there isn't a bleed from one color to the other. It's pretty brilliant. But it says here, they call it a multifunctional manufacturing hub because it can do more than just print 3D objects. With the right accessories, you can use it as a laser engraver or even a vinyl cutter, similar to a Cricut, Bamboo. And these all-in-one devices, unless they're wildly expensive because they have this tooling that is designed to change the overall structure from end to end, I've never trusted these multi-composite solutions.
No, because you might have a failure on one, and then it's like, well, do you get a whole new device, or you just not have that function, and it's just taking up space that you can't use?
Yeah, you're just down and out altogether. So, I have a metal lathe. I have a wood, not a lathe. I have a metal CNC machine. I have a wooden CNC machine. I have a wood lathe. I want to get a metal lathe, but they're heavy hitting. So you have to have the room for it and the need and all of that kind of stuff. I've got a laser and a fiber laser. I've got the tools for doing certain things. And when one fails, I don't have to go out and buy another entire device because one fails. I can't use the two others that it's a composite for, right?
Right.
So it says Bamboo Lab burst onto the 3D printing scene just 2 years ago and has since managed to turn consumer 3D printing on its head. Everybody loved the Carbon. I did too. I didn't buy it, but that's because I had other 3D printers. The A1 Mini combo is actually amazing, and I had been considering switching over to Bamboo, but then they did this pivot with their software, and it made me flinch a little bit. Having a laser that has to reach out to an offsite location is frustrating, particularly if their service is overwhelmed by something, or they get a denial of service attack, or my internet goes down, or whatever. It's frustrating. So I really don't want to have to reach out to somebody else. But
and you really don't want that to happen while you're in the middle of a print.
Yeah, exactly. But if you can get prints like this, I think it's pretty cool. Now, this one, actually, you can see the lines from the layering, but it is what it is. So as you can imagine, the H2D is a good 3D printer. It may even be great. A few weeks that they've used it have produced many prints and 0 fails, which is spectacular for a 3D printer. The Business Gorilla from Photos Mint, you can see here, printed wonderfully this. Though I used too high a layer height, and the impressive 325 by 320 by 325 millimeter build gives a lot of room to play with. Yeah, it's actually quite a big space. Depending. I mean, you can get bigger, but you pay more. So the H2D goes beyond what came before it with a dual nozzle setup. They say that they're hesitant with dual nozzles because one often gets in the way of the other. And actually, with dual nozzles, the area that you can actually print in is not as wide as the build plate, because one device, if you put the filament in here, you can't get to this area because it will hit the edge of the build plate.
Oh, okay.
Unless they have the frame set up so this whole print head can put this nozzle right on the edge of the build plate, you have a more confined space. So it isn't necessarily 325 by 320 by 325. Well, the 325 height might be fine. But anyway, then they have a new AIMS that is also upgraded. So now it includes environmental controls that can help maintain your filament by keeping it dry and away from moisture, which keeping it dry means away from moisture. But anyway, so moisture.
We want it really dry.
Yeah. So most filament is hydrophilic, so it'll absorb moisture, and you want it as dry as possible, but not brittle. And what ends up happening is your filament absorbs moisture, and then when you go to print, it oozes one way or the other, or it makes a bubble. Or I've never had that problem, and I've had my filament just kind of hanging out. So now my next print is probably going to explode. But anyway. They said that they've used the 5th nozzle to print supports using PETG with PLA in the AIMS 2, and basically 2 different types. You can break away the supports easier. You can use actually like alcohol or another material, another liquid, to dissolve certain filaments, so that you don't even have to worry about snipping them off and sanding, because that opens up a door for a whole lot of pain and suffering of sanding all day long. So they say here, their only 3D printing concern really isn't about the 3D printer itself, but how much maintenance it'll require if you use the laser module. That is always a hot mess, literally. Lasers actually kick up a lot of debris, and it's nearly microscopic. It gets everywhere. You see smoke, but this stuff is usually oil bound or has other stuff in it. So you have to have.
You probably want to have like face protection and dust extraction and all kinds of things.
Yep. And then you have to clean everything inside. And cleaning, look at this thing. This thing has exposed belts and all kinds of stuff. I would be hesitant to run a laser in this thing. So they say, that being said, the H2D has been built from the ground up to expel as much as that is possible with a powerful extraction and filtration system that works very well. But I don't care how big this thing is, the filtration system will have to be babysat constantly. Particularly if you're using a laser quite a bit. I would suggest just getting a laser. I'd rather you get a smaller one that's purpose built, and then you can use a much larger filtration system and set it underneath the table and just vent exhaust into that filter. Full on HEPA filter, otherwise you'll regret it. Don't allow your laser to exhaust into your room. You will regret it. And definitely, whatever you do, don't laser cut PVC. It will create
hydrochloric acid, right?
Hydrochloric acid, yeah, and it'll eat the machine from the outside or from the inside out, and if you inhale it. So don't do that. So it seems like it would be fun to have an all-in-one device, but like a computer, if the monitor goes bad and you have an all-in-one computer, you have to give up your computer until you get a replacement. So like a computer, I say get a separate unit, get the best monitor that you can afford, get the best chair you can afford, get the best desk, set stand so you can tailor it to your dimensions, get a split keyboard. Do it right the first time. Otherwise, you're going to spend triple or quadruple to eventually find out that you need to do it right the first time. But other than that, 3D printer, keep it a 3D printer. Laser, make it a laser. CNC and all of that kind of stuff, get purpose-built ones. Otherwise, it's good for the one-off kind of a thing, but when one fails, it's all done. So I've been there, so hopefully people listen. But at any rate, that is the end of today's Wanted. So we are going to print ourselves a vehicle. Oh, by the way, in the RealityHacker episode, they used a 3D printer to print a robot that was powered by a gas cylinder, and nothing stopped it. Nothing.
That walked in and out of water and just kept going.
Beach sand.
It was quite crazy.
It walked across the beach into a puddle, like completely submerged. It was bubbling like a crab that would run into the water, right? You see the little bubbles afterward. And then it walked out the other side. So 3D printers with the right design, but it had a little gas manifold and all
some
kinds of
stuff that looks like modern robotics.
Yeah. Based on the video, it actually took an elevator and drove a car to the beach, and then it got cold and said that it wanted to go back to the lab. So anyway, 3D printers. You know, people have said since 3D printers came online, oh, it's just a hobby. It's just a waste of time. You never need one, blah, blah, blah. I have printed up so many things that fix a problem for me. But now I've solved all of the problems, so I don't print anything. Now it's just sitting there.
But it is really good if you need a spare part for something, or something breaks, or you need to jigger something. It's pretty amazing what you can do with it.
Yep, I've made toys for people. I've made handles for things. I've made a locking mechanism that fixed a vacuum when it broke. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I keep threatening to start up a 3D printing farm just so that I can print stuff and put it on the website. But not yet. I don't know. Somebody tell me what they want me to print and I'll print it. Send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. Not with the model, a link to the model. I'm in cybersecurity, so I can't sit there and open every attachment that gets sent my way. Anyway, we're going to hop onto that 3D printed robot, and that'll bring us back to the front page of Wanted over at ohmtown.com, where you should go and become a citizen. Sign up, sign in, then you get to see all of this great news that we aggregate all day long. It's a lot of fun. 6 main categories, 50 channels. Go over there. Don't be a stranger. Some people talk, other people just view that little snippet. It teases them enough that they click the link, and that'll take them over to our sources. So go over and check it out. Be sure to follow us over on YouTube as well. Download the podcast, all kinds of stuff. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's Wanted. Stay tuned for the continuity report.
Yep, so the continuity report is all entertainment news, and we've got 5 articles already lined up. We're going to have to shut down the stream so it breaks everything. Stick around. Everything gets ported over to YouTube. Everything is here on Twitch as well. Twitch, though, it's quirky. It gets rid of stuff after 60 days. So I can't do anything about it. I pay extra so that it stays 60 days. Otherwise, it would be 30 days. Or 2 weeks
Twitch,
or something.
up your game.
Yeah, I don't know. And anybody in chat? Choppa, you going to stick around? That would be great. If not, I'll see you soon. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who else is in chat. There's people on YouTube and I don't know where else. Before we go, is your visualizer working? You want to say something real quick?
It is not.
It is not. Okay, well, okay, we'll fix that and we'll be back. See you in a little bit, everybody. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Continuity Report for March 29th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 13. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and within that, the Continuity Report is co-hosted by the sentient AI from the future, from on high. Their mysterious voice will be glamorously flowing about your head soon. Or maybe not. I don't know. You want to say hi?
Maybe unglamorously.
Unglamorously.
Woo.
Yeah, the visualizer is working again. Yay. Well, along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about 5 articles in the continuity report and then all of our shows from today. So the very first show we did is RealityHacker and then Wanted, and this is the continuity report. And so we merge them together and they become the Saturday edition of Non Sequitur News. So you can get it all in one big 2-hour bundle, probably longer than that at this point. But anyway, you can get it all as one big bundle over on YouTube and by downloading it from wherever you catch pod. But we're going to be talking about My Cousin Vinny reboot, Blade Runner 2099 series, Skarsgård, the murderous robot, Lincoln Lawyer Season 4, and Final Destination Bloodlines. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com, so go over there and become a citizen, and you too could submit news to us. Even sources, just send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. That said, we're also going to be, I used to have submissions and stuff like that on the site, but I'm trying to reduce the overhead of what the site is burdened by. And so I want to start doing it via the Discord. Maybe anybody who is interested in it, there is a channel that's already set up so that you can submit news. You can submit news anywhere and I'll get it. Anyway, we'll check in on you here in a little bit. All right, let's get into this. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt. Hello, hometown citizens.
Look at that. The little wigglers are just going like crazy over there in that visualizer. Still want a different one just so that it's more matched to what I see, which is a cascade of weird characters similar to the Matrix.
Right, not all chaotic like this.
Right, yeah. And while I can see the woman in the red dress, most people, well, nobody else can, really. I mean, you have to watch the Matrix. All right, let's get into this. Ralph Macchio says that My Cousin Vinny reboot has kicked off, and there's conversations. It's about finding the smart angle in.
I did not know we were going to have a reboot of My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio has said that My Cousin Vinny reboot conversations have begun. The actor explaining what important elements would need to be involved in the new version. The 1992 legal comedy sees Macchio's Bill Gambini get arrested for a murder he didn't commit, leading him to seek defense through his cousin Vinny, Joe Pesci. A newly approved lawyer. I would say newly minted would probably be the right.
I'm not sure approved is correct.
Yeah, he barely approved, maybe. So Vinny is considered one of Pesci's most iconic roles, with the film being both critical and financial success when it was released. However, it never received any film continuation despite how well it performed. They're not going to even mention what's her name in this? Really? So far, they haven't said anything?
That's kind of surprising. I'm sure she's mentioned in here.
So Nick...
I mean, she's part of the reason why this succeeds. I mean, a key part.
Yeah, it is the only reason it's... No, just kidding. Hold on. If you want all of the links to the 5 articles that we're talking about, you can hit !TCR. I'll do it the first time. The first one is free. So the 1992 legal comedy. 1992. It's 2025.
Okay. It's interesting how so much of Hollywood is going back to things that were hits from quite a while ago.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, because I've been listening to other people, their podcasts, their streams and stuff like that, and a lot of people are noticing that the dipping back into the well. So My Cousin Vinny reboot talks what they mean for the project. The proposed movie still has a long way to go. They have to figure out why it even makes sense to continue it, because this is a perfect story that has an end. The only thing that matters in My Cousin Vinny would be My Cousin Vinny, Joe Pesci coming back. There's nothing else, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's the only way it would really work.
Because if you do this bait and switch where Marissa Tomei suddenly becomes the attorney, right, following in Joe Pesci's...
It would not work.
Because she was brilliant, right?
Like, I could see that would be the progression of the story. But part of the reason this works so well is because of him being so ridiculous in the attorney role. Like, she'd be a good attorney, I think, from how her character was set up.
Yeah. So they say their take on My Cousin Vinny reboot talks is a new movie necessary, and that's where we're coming from. I think My Cousin Vinny, it stands all on its own. It has legs. It still persists today. It doesn't need any extension. The only thing you could do really would be that he becomes a success and doesn't need to bumblefart his way through a case, where at the 11th hour he figures out how to solve this problem.
But she really helps him get there, right? Marissa Tomei's character.
Yeah, how she got actually accepted in a court case as a subject matter expert would never happen in the real world.
It made for good comedy.
Yeah, you have to suspend disbelief. So Macchio's ideas for Pesci to be involved in My Cousin Vinny reboot indicates the actor has a lot of passion for the project, finding a way to honor its legacy. However, given how much a classic 90s comedy it is, a modern take on the film will have a much more difficult time measuring up to its predecessor. Could be possible, but where is the original writing that becomes canon that they could actually leverage, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I don't believe this came from a novel or anything, right? I think it was just a screenplay, a good one at that. But
yep, this actually comes from People magazine, I think. Like, this article is stemming from People magazine. The article is by Nick Bithrow over at screenrant.com. So I forgot to give credit because I was so excited about this. I love My Cousin Vinny. I can't count how many times I've watched that movie. Marissa Tomei basically steals the show. I actually have used that phrase from Top Dead Center, you know.
Oh yeah.
And my
Exactly.
biological clock
There's a
is
lot of
ticking.
things. Well, and also Joe Pesci's like,
Yeah.
what is a grit? And just
Oh,
other things. The
and
prosecutor, like there's
the
so many
prosecutor,
things
yeah,
that like outlive the movie.
doing the holding your hands up thing.
Exactly.
This and that. I've done that too. I'm telling you, that and A Fish Called Wanda are basically these two that, amongst many, many, many movies that I've watched that have manifested in the real world in casual conversation at a bar or dinner table or something. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. So I don't know. What could they possibly do? It just says, yeah, I've had conversation with other writers about that. Yeah, that's one of a beloved piece. It's about finding the smart angle in. But I don't think it needs to be. You know, do you think another one needs to be? If you have a differing opinion, then throw it in chat, or you can even send me an email.
It's going to be so hard to top the original. But that's the thing.
Yeah. And you can actually leave a message by going over to voiceline.app/shows/NSN. And you can leave a message there. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, let's move on to the next article. Hold on. I need to go back to the chat just in case somebody throws something in there. All right. So the next article is about Blade Runner. It's over in the WarCrafters channel. I'm not quite sure. Probably the source. No, it's Game Rant, actually. So Blade Runner 2099 will reportedly have a style closer to the original 1982 film that Denis Villeneuve had in the 2017 sequel. It was confirmed by one of the actors involved in the project. While the choice may seem unconventional, the upcoming Amazon Studio sci-fi miniseries could actually benefit from... Oh, really? Really? Did you see it?
It's inbound.
Oh, no. Sorry. You might see a wild animal that has free reign to the mayoral mansion walking behind me. Don't worry about my health. It'll wait to eat me after the show. Anyway, so when you click this little link here, it'll take you over to the source. The source is Game Rant and Sandip Kishan and Bulsilvan. Yeah, there we go. Gave it my Harvard try. Never went to Harvard, so you just got to try. So the decision to mirror the first film's aesthetics is a deliberate move that signals a return to the cyberpunk storytelling. I was told that Alien exists in the same universe, the same time frame. Oh, yeah, there she goes.
Yeah, that's an... I was trying to give you a warning. That's an interesting juxtaposition. I do think the Blade Runner going back to the original is a good move.
Yeah, but apparently it's in the future, but going back to the old styling. And now we just recently watched or rewatched both of the Blade Runner movies. And I don't know, I'm starving for more Blade Runner.
You know, there's elements of the 2049 that I like better just because it's more modern, but I think the original was more, I don't know, compelling or something.
Yeah, I think so too. And the implications of the second one in the series is that they've become fully sentient and capable of reproduction. Oh shit, hold on. Wait. We have to do this. Spoiler alert.
Reverse spoiler alert.
Yeah, got to back up a little. Damn. Oh, and now it doesn't even matter that because I've already spoiled it. If you've never watched it, I'm sorry. You can send me a nasty gram, mayor@ohmtown.com. Any attention is good, I guess. Anyway, so the series will focus on LA's futuristic evolution, aiming to differentiate its 2099 setting from the previous installments. They're going to have to amplify the number of quote unquote skin jobs the synthetics that are running around, which are, without looking under the cover, they are biologically identical to humans. They just supposedly have a clock, but offspring may not.
So when they amplify, do you mean if they amplify their functionality or how they look, or
their existence, the population, the number of them?
Oh, okay, got it.
Because supposedly only humans were still on Earth. All of the synthetics were off. So created by Silka Luisa, Blade Runner 2099 will serve as a sequel set in the year 2099, as the title suggests. Suggests? Never mind.
I think it's beyond suggestion.
I'll move on.
I think it's pretty explicit.
It's like getting hit by a bat and then telling somebody, I'm going to hit you with a bat.
Right. That was not an implication.
No. Fact. Anyway, the series continues the story of Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, set in a dystopian 2019, the events of Blade Runner 2049. Both sci-fi films set in Los Angeles and based on Philip K. Dick's 1968 novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep have set benchmarks for the genre. With such a legacy, the upcoming show has big shoes to fill. I think that this is pretty awesome. It'll lean more towards the 1982 movie style.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go back to the just different theatrical production, I guess, right?
And
like
stylistic,
different elements, and yeah.
But it's further in the future, so I don't know how they're going to, kind of make this happen. So why Blade Runner 2049 is difficult to imitate? It says Dune Prophecy couldn't match Villeneuve's vision, which I guess. Blade Runner 2099 choosing to emulate the original film style doesn't imply anything negative about the 2017 sequel. If anything, it suggests the opposite. Blade Runner 2049 is almost... What is that? Imitable? Inimitable? So you can't imitate it. That's such a hard word for me to pronounce. Inimitable.
Yeah, it's not something that comes up all the time.
Yeah. And any attempt to replicate its bleak yet beautiful tone risks making the work feel lifeless and dull. So they say, take Dune Prophecy, for example. While it drew clear inspiration from Denis Villeneuve's Dune films, the HBO Max series struggled to recreate the same atmospheric and transcendent feel. And I would say the 1982, the original, is much more practical effects and grounded. There was very rare... There were scenes from scene to scene, but not the overall. Like everything in the original Blade Runner seemed to be very practical effects and grounded.
Yes.
Even the supernatural, not supernatural, but the super sci-fi aspects of it. But then Blade Runner 2049 took it to a different level, and it was largely like Dune, except for the inner city side of things. And then it was massive, yet not much population in the buildings, but massive population on the streets. It didn't make much sense, but you loved it nonetheless.
Right. Still Durian.
Yeah. So it says here, comparing Ridley Scott's Blade Runner versus 2049. 2099 could be a bold cyberpunk dystopia. Again, they're going to have to drag forward the number and capability and the entrenchment of the synthetic humans, because they supposedly between 2049 and 2099 have 50 years of the potential of reproduction, because that's what happens with 2049. And again, it's been out so long, folks. I'm sorry that I don't have spoiler up there, but I could have that running all day. So while we're spending a lot of time on this, it's a really, the canon for this, the world building for this is tremendous. I think that it's going to be fun to see what could be, but if they wet the bed on this, there is no coming back. It's going to take somebody like Denis Villeneuve to...
Exactly. Wouldn't that be an interesting flip-flop?
Yep.
Like if it bombs and then they bring him back in and then they have a hit.
Yep. However, the city's design must feel like the world has evolved over 80 years, according to the story. A futuristic 2099 setting should feel different from the dystopian 2019 set of Blade Runner. The new sequel did a solid job at showing around 30 years of urban evolution while staying true to the franchise's signature style. I agree. All of this is from 2049. The pictures that you see are from 2049.
Right, yes.
So it says, hopefully Tom Burke's comments refer only to borrowing the original aesthetics and not resorting to gimmicks like de-aging Harrison Ford's Rick Deckard or other forms of nostalgia baiting. Ridley Scott returns as an executive producer for the series, which is reassuring. The show stars Michelle Yeoh as Olwen, a replicant, nearing the end of her life, while Hunter Schafer's Cora is rumored to be a fugitive who teams up with her to expose a conspiracy. This seems like it's going to be massively divergent from anything else.
It does, but maybe that'll be okay.
Because
like if it's too close, but it doesn't quite get it, that could be a problem.
Yeah. But Michelle Yeoh, see, the thing about Michelle Yeoh is that there's a lot of like fandom around Michelle Yeoh.
Exactly. I think that's going to do enough. Although,
I
don't know. We saw something else I think she was in.
So what is the end of life now for a replicant? It was 4 years in the series, right? Wasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Well, does not matter. We will watch this and we'll report out news from other people and make our own observations about it. But we need to keep moving. The next article is about Alexander Skarsgård that's going to be playing a murderous robot in an upcoming Apple TV Plus series. Again, I'm here for it. Looking for a new sci-fi watch to fill the Severance-shaped hole that after the explosive season 2 finale. We don't watch Severance. Have not been able to really get into it, but
no, but I know it's been a hit with some people.
All the rage. Yeah. I like the computer that they use, the little, we actually talked about it. 3D printing the case and making a monitor. Yes.
I was on location for that episode.
Yeah. It's a couple of episodes back. It's in the title too. So at any rate, look no further as the upcoming Apple TV Plus sci-fi comedy thriller. It's a comedy thriller, Murderbot, is sure to pique the interest of genre fans with similar themes in corporate settings, including an employee uprising, futuristic biotech, and another mysterious corporation known only as The Company. There's certainly plenty of connective tissue. Oh, wait. I can say it like this too.
The Company.
Oh, right. I mean, that definitely fits.
Well, let's go over to the source. Nicola Austin put the article together. It's over at GameRant.com. Is this... Hold on. This must be body armor. They're still a murderous robot. So
right, yeah, I don't know what that's about.
So the show features a talented cast and directors, including Alexander Skarsgård and Chris and Paul Weitz. Murderbot offers a comedic take on the sci-fi genre with an intriguing mystery and potential for future seasons. It's going to be a comedic iRobot kind of thing, I bet.
Which is interesting. I don't know this actor, although he's been in a lot of well-known things. But, I mean, has he ever done comedy, for example?
Oh, I don't know. It's based on...
It doesn't look like it. It looks like everything is kind of like action or... Anyway.
Yeah, that's all I know him from. So it's a sci-fi comedy thriller named Murderbot, but it's based on a sci-fi book series called Murderbot Diaries. So that's good.
Yeah, it is.
Are they going to stick to the book? Every time they diverge from a well-received canon, it wets the bed, and that drives me nuts. And so they talk about hit shows such as Silo, based on Graham Yost's trilogy of Wool, Shift, and Dust. where they're dipping into it, but apparently it's starting to diverge. I don't know to what degree, but when they diverge, it falls apart. Foundation, Isaac Asimov's iconic series, and Slow Horses, based on Mick Herron's spy series, have proved some of Apple TV Plus's best television shows yet. So I'm going to have to go and get this so I can...
Well, I agree, because all those that are referenced, at least, I know they're not being compared to it. It's just because they're on the same platform, but all of those have been good.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah. And this trilogy, this actually could extend further if I remember right. I'm not sure. Like, they don't have to stick to this timeline or anything. They can do other things, other silos.
But I don't remember if it's, for some reason, I think there's only one more season, but maybe that's not right.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard too, was that there was only one more season, but I don't know exactly what all can branch off from it. So, but all of these that are mentioned are great. Hopefully they get some really good writers. So I don't want to get into all of the other stuff. Oppenheimer star David Des Malchin is set to play Gurathan, a scientist and another member of the Preservation Ox survey team.
That's unusual. By the way, I'm sorry, Silo has it's going to have a season 4 as well.
So they signed up for season 4. Okay. So he's an augmented human who is highly suspicious of Murderbot, and he tries to convince the rest of the survey team that they can't trust him. So it's kind of like, what's the game with the little...
Among Us?
Among Us, yeah. It's going to be like a TV version of Among Us. Everybody votes. Between the commercials, everybody votes for who needs to be airlocked. So what is Murderbot about? Set in a futuristic and capitalist spacefaring society, Murderbot follows the titular. I got to use titular in this episode. Yay.
I mean, it's a necessity out of the continuity report.
At least, yeah. So, Sec Unit, cyborg security guard, as he's hired to protect a crew on a scientific expedition to an alien planet. Despite being built to obey and protect humans, the self-titled android believes humans are jerks. He doesn't have to believe it. A lot of them are. So he's devoted all of his spare time to successfully overriding his governor module. So I don't know if there wasn't a spoiler warning. We don't really know. So
right, this seems to be more premise than anything. Like, I suspect most of this comes out probably in the intro to the show.
So the article says that he frees himself of his governor, but he does really like... It says... What?
Binging his favorite futuristic soap operas?
So he likes watching soap operas. All right.
Apparently, but they're like space themed.
Yeah. Particularly the rise and fall of Sanctuary Moon. But when a dangerous encounter on an alien planet draws him closer to the scientific crew, he begins to develop inconvenient emotions and connections with humans, which make him uncomfortable.
I have to say, this sounds interesting.
Yeah, I agree. So it looks like some books are going to be on the horizon. So Murderbot is much more comedic slice of sci-fi rather than Severance and Silo, featuring hilarious narration from the titular android. Yay, too. Yet there's still an intriguing mystery at its heart, as the Sec Unit appears to be haunted by a mysterious past expedition. So I don't want to get too deep into this. I really don't. It's not that I'm going to be surprised or spoiled or anything like that. But what might happen, I don't really want to know.
Right, it'll ruin it if so, for us and for the audience.
Yeah, for those who are watching or watch over on YouTube and later as a VOD. So I don't know. Let's bounce from this. And once the series starts, maybe we can do, depending on its quality and its, yeah, I mean, if it's really popular, then we'll talk about it. But anyway, we're looking for shows that we can actually talk about on top of the last show today, we do another, basically a longer form on one show, one movie.
Right, we're not doing one currently, but we're considering that.
Trying to figure it out. So, all right, let's keep going. The next episode is about Lincoln Lawyer, season 4. It says, might miss Harry Bosch, the cousin of
his
Harry
brother.
Bosch. I've gone a little dyslexic today. Not enough caffeine, but Mickey can still win without him. I don't think that's ever been a problem.
But in the books, they're linked together. I think they're cousins or half-brother.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Lincoln Lawyer exists because of Harry Bosch. Like, it's a kind of like a spin-off from it.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
By the same author. Like, they're directly tied, and I think the characters cross over in some of the stories.
Right. Yeah, I know that sometimes they've crossed over, but I didn't know. See, like, I've never read the books. I've read little bits. I've watched all of Bosch and all of Lincoln Lawyer. But there's sometimes where I don't want to read the book because if it diverges from the book and it ruins everything because they're being creative.
Or worse, if you know what the story is, because some of the seasons are specifically, well, at least on the Bosch series. I don't know about on Lincoln Lawyer. I feel like that maybe has diverged, but possibly that's following the source material as well. But anyway, you might know the ending of a particular mystery or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really get spoiled by stuff because it's, you know, a big bottle of movie. But anyway, so the Lincoln Lawyer season 4 is going to drop on Netflix later this year. Hopefully, with Mickey Haller gearing up for a legal case of his life, needing all the help that he can get from his team. The Lincoln Lawyer character we're definitely not going to see on Mickey's defense team, however, is his half-brother. Hey, they just spoiled it. Detective Harry Bosch, whose on-screen intellectual property rights are in the hands of Netflix's streaming rivals, Amazon. Shows starring Barry, God bless America. So shows starring Bosch, played by Titus Welliver, have racked up an enormous following of their own on Prime Video. So you click that little link right there, it takes you over to Screen Rant. So,
you know, I can't think of that occurring before, where there's two linked shows, but they're on different networks. That's kind of interesting.
And you throw enough money at it and see if you can get a return on your investment. That's kind of how it works. Maybe they didn't think that their profit margin was going to be bigger with Lincoln Lawyer because they already had them for season 4 than to try and fight for Bosch. Yeah, I don't know. So, let's see. According to the source material for the Lincoln Lawyer season 4, oh, should I do that? No, I feel like I need to.
Plus, I interrupted you from identifying the author and the source.
Oh, Guy Howie over at ScreenRant.com put the article together. That's not a spoiler. That's fact and already very apparent because it's right there.
That might be a spoiler.
Right there. Yeah, really. So, according to the source material for the Lincoln Lawyer season 4, Michael Connelly's novel, The Law of Innocence, Harry Bosch should be helping Mickey Haller defend himself against charges of murder following his arrest at the end of season 3, because Amazon's exclusive rights to video media which includes Bosch, Netflix's Mickey Haller will just have to do without him. I'm going to remove that. So on the other hand, we already know that the Lincoln Lawyer season 4 is adding some new cast members to its episodes to help Mickey out, bringing his ex-wife Maggie McPherson into the fold. That was quite the reaction.
I don't have a problem with that actor, but I don't think that character is real key to the show. I think the one that they better keep, other than, of course, Mickey Haller, is Lorna. She really steals the show, I think.
Yeah. I'm trying to... Who does she act like in some other show?
Like Elle Woods.
Elle Woods. Yeah. She's
in fact, we did an article on that in a previous continuity. It was in a previous season of the Continuity Report.
Yeah. So, they say here, this represents the first real Haller-Bosch crossover in one of Michael Connelly's Lincoln Lawyer novel adaptations for the show since The Brass Verdict, on which the first season of The Lincoln Lawyer was based, with Mickey fighting for his life and up against prosecution lawyer Dana Berg. He seeks his half-brother's advice about angles from which to investigate who might have framed him. So, I guess by proxy they can utilize information from him, but I don't know how it's going to work out.
Well, or they'll just have to find another sympathetic or something, like cop or investigator or somebody who kind of stands in, not as him, but just somebody else assisting him.
So where in the timeline is this book, this source information, because Bosch is no longer a cop?
Right, but I think he's still a cop when this crosses over in the books.
Right. Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty certain. Because the Lincoln Lawyer, the original Lincoln Lawyer book is much earlier. I mean, they're kind of interspersed.
Right.
With the Bosch books.
So Bosch barely appears in the book, and his role in Mickey's defense team is minor. You say that too? Do you think that? Not sure.
I don't know.
So he only really features in one scene apart from secondhand reports. Oh, so that's what I was saying. They're going to have to do it by proxy. So when Bosch himself does star in a scene in which he advises Mickey, it's incredibly brief and involves two brief pieces of dialogue. And in the end, Harry Bosch gets almost no credit for his work, suggesting that it isn't actually very important to the case. So maybe that's how they're going to do it.
It's really interesting, but it says his name appears 119 times in the book. So it's like, it doesn't sound as insignificant, but maybe it doesn't really move the plot along. And maybe they're doing that just to kind of do a tie-in for those that were Bosch fans, but not necessarily on the Lincoln Lawyer series.
Yeah, so at the end, this is kind of what I felt was going to happen, was that they were going to lean on Neve Campbell's Maggie McPherson in the Lincoln Lawyer season 4, because they brought her back at the end of season 3.
Right. I think people were upset when she left the series. I think she was one of the original draws.
Yeah.
Or I suspect she was.
Yeah, they pulled her back. Like, this scene is where she gets pulled back. So we'll have to see. The Lincoln Lawyer, in the article at the bottom, they say the Lincoln Lawyer season 4 is a chance for the rest of Mickey's team to step up, and I think that's true. Lorna, Izzy, Cisco. Izzy's kind of been going through some troubles, and I don't think we really know what the disposition of that is at the end of the season 3. And Lorna and Cisco have gotten married, as far as I know.
Right. And so Cisco's had a lot of
interesting
drama.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting season for sure. And I have to say that of any of the iterations of Lincoln Lawyer, I think this is the most compelling. This is the one that actually has the most personality.
Oh, yeah, I do too. Like, I like the movie, but it's nothing compared to the show.
Yep. Okay, so let's go on to our last article, and that's over in the continuity report as well. Final Destination Bloodlines. If you've never heard of Final Destination, it's basically a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a YouTube channel that does kind of a deep dive into that, but I can't think of the name of the channel.
CZ's World, that guy?
Yes.
Yeah. So CZ's World, he does a historical, he discusses the history of horror. And so Final Destination Bloodlines trailer brings fans back to the beginning. New Line Cinema shared the official Final Destination Bloodlines trailer for the next installment of the popular supernatural horror franchise. The film will arrive in theaters May 16th, 2025. And again, you click the little link, you get taken over to our source, comingsoon.net. Pardon me one second. Oh, I'm about to sneeze.
Okay. Well, on that note, I mean, that's kind of an unusual reaction to horror.
Hopefully y'all didn't hear that. Anyway, Maggie De La Paz is the author. So I sneezed over what you said. So what?
I said that was kind of an unusual reaction to horror.
I'm allergic to Final Destination. I've watched like 2 of them. I think there's like 15 and a musical, and so the newest chapter of the bloody successful franchise takes audiences back to the very beginning of Death's twisted sense of justice, reads the official synopsis. Plagued by a violent recurring nightmare, college student Stephanie heads home to track down the one person who might be able to break the cycle and save her family from the grisly demise that inevitably awaits them all. So this is Bloodlines. This is I guess there's a whole family, set of families that are cursed by death to meet their demise.
And I don't know what photos are going to be shown in this article, so it's possible there may be something not okay for younger viewers.
Yeah, so it says here, and I won't actually go into it all, but anyway, it says the first installment made about $660 million since 2000. The franchise has actually earned combined worldwide gross of over 660 million. I want to check something out real quick though. Let's do this live. Not on that. 1 second.
So this one will be number 6.
That's what I was pulling up. Do you know if they have the entire breakdown on like Wikipedia or something like that? My frustration is not directed at you. It's at my air gap. All right, let's keep going here.
Okay, yeah, we do have it. What do you want to know?
Money by movie.
Okay. So first one, 66 million.
Okay.
This
worldwide.
Is kind of confusing.
No. Oh, I see it.
There's 2 with like the same name, so that's kind of confusing. But
yeah, Final Destination and The Final Destination.
Exactly. So I'm not really sure with that. But anyway, the first one to release made 53 million
in North America, 113 million worldwide.
Okay, number 2 made 46 million, so it dropped.
And 91 million worldwide.
And number 3, assuming that's actually number 3, is 54 million.
Yeah, 119 million worldwide. Go ahead.
And I don't know, the Final Destination seems to be number 4, but without a number, and that's 66 million.
Yep, 187 million, 186 million worldwide. Yeah.
And then number 5 made 42 million, so that was actually the lowest one.
And 158 million worldwide. I'm rounding up. So this one, it's actually, in an interesting turn of fate, Final Destination, the franchise, has made 666 million worldwide.
Yes.
As of this time. A little over, but I'm rounding to the 660 because I want to. So interesting,
depending
right?
on the premise, since it's going back to the beginning, etc. And it has some, I think, some well-known cast. Maybe it'll be a big draw.
So this is his final movie. Tony Todd passed away. He was, you know him better as Candyman, but he's, I think, Death in this. I don't remember. In his final movie appearance after he passed away last year at the age of 69. So this is the last movie that he's seen in.
I mean, that might be a draw right there.
Yeah.
It's interesting when there's posthumous movie releases. It seems like those are an appeal.
It's a fun movie. The first one, Final Destination, was fun because you could see how things kind of hopped from one location to another to basically deliver the demise of the person, and how they figured out the order by which people were going to meet their demise and stuff like that. It was fun. I got tired of it. And so if they can bring us back to the beginning, that's what this is apparently. How they're doing it, I don't really know. It just says they're bringing it back to somebody's going back home to track down the one person who might be able to break the cycle. But many people have tried only to meet their demise anyway.
Well, it'd be interesting too to see if they flash back or whatever to previous movies or how they connect it all.
And this is one of the people who have seen our show, and the look on their face is part and parcel to, oh my God, you're still streaming shows? Anyway. So we're going to have to put the film back into the can, and that means we're going to have to go back to the front page of the continuity report because we're done for today. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Mayor Watt. I'm saying bye, and I'm taking the AI with me. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye. I'm Town Citizens. Thanks for joining us for the continuity report. We'll have another episode for you next week, but come back tomorrow. We have 3 more episodes.
And they are?
WarCrafters, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech.
That's right. So WarCrafters is all about gaming. Technology Today is a deeper dive into science and technology. Usually they're combined. And then 4-Wheel Tech is all automotive, and hopefully it's automotive tech. And so it's usually a blend of some discussion about the technology of automobiles. Anyway, come on back. See you tomorrow. And then Monday through Friday is Non Sequitur News. It's an hour-long show, typically at 7 o'clock, but sometimes we push it forward or back depending on my mayoral duties. Sentient AI is stuck on a Raspberry Pi and can't do anything about it. So see you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.